welcome back into my art studio. I am Natja, I'm an artist and an illustrator from the Netherlands. I think I said that intro a lot in the past 2 years. Hey, my name is Natja, I'm an artist and illustrator from the Netherlands. I'm Natja, I'm a picture book artist and a freelance illustrator from the Netherlands. I am Natja, I am an artist and a picture book illustrator from the Netherlands. Today I'm celebrating. It's already been 2 years since I started posting videos on my art channel consistently. I just checked and I posted about 36 long form videos since May of 2022. So I started my art business in 2012, which is a while back. Since then I also tried to start a YouTube channel a number of times. Hi everyone! It often felt quite overwhelming to do all of the filming and the editing, especially when I was new to all that stuff. So it took me a while to get into a groove of posting consistently. I've absolutely loved watching other art channels for years. I often felt so very inspired and wanting to document my art in that kind of way. So in 2022 I finally took the plunge and I listened to that inspiration and I just started creating videos. What helped me was definitely to lower the pressure for myself. I didn't need to make perfect videos or upload every single week, which is something that gets advised a lot. I just wasn't going to do that because I also work on picture books. I have an Etsy shop. I have a lot of different aspects within my art business that all demand some attention and I love doing them all. So it just wasn't in the cards for me to be posting every week. But I'm very glad that in the end I decided to just do what comes natural, what feels natural to me, and post on a schedule that feels right for me and my rhythm and life. My posting over time became pretty consistent after all, just not every week. For today I have a very fun Q&A planned, so you send in questions and I'm going to answer them. Before we move on to your questions, I really did want to take a little moment and reflect on my YouTube journey, especially if you are also an artist and want to start a YouTube channel and have been on the fence, maybe this will help. So the first reason why I love having an art channel is that I have a way to document my art and my life. So I love the fact that I have these visual glimpses and see what I was doing at a certain time and recollect the feelings that I had and the memories. I love to be able to see how my art evolves through time. I can see the places where I work, my old art studio and my current art studio, and how everything changes through time. I even get to see in the videos that my son is growing bigger as I sometimes share little moments of quality time with him in my videos. So I see these videos as kind of like a time capsule, and rewatching my older videos already gives me like this nostalgic feeling. So secondly, I see making YouTube videos as kind of an extension of my creative process. It does feel like a creative passion and a new hobby. And I think it's good to have other hobbies besides drawing. I love to pick the music for my YouTube videos. It has become quite the extension of the mood that I want to set with my art. And it's really nice to be able to try and create that mood in a different medium, so video in this case. So this kind of leads me to the next reason why I love having a YouTube channel, which is I was able to learn like a different skill set, and also I am on a journey to keep learning this. Although I had some experience with editing videos before, having a YouTube channel really has motivated me to dive deeper into filming and editing and to learn new things, basically. I especially think that finding the right lighting and color grading videos, moving forward, having better audio in my videos would be some goals that I still would like to explore. I also do not want to set the bar so high, but I do think in art and in creating videos you can always learn so much more. I once heard the advice that your first 50 videos are going to suck anyways. They can be very bad. Kind of felt free to create whatever I want, you know, if it's going to be bad anyways. I think that's a good way to lower some of your perfectionism. The fourth benefit of starting my art channel on YouTube has been something that I wasn't expecting at all. It was getting out of my comfort zone. I've talked a little about this before, but I am someone that can experience quite some anxiety. I think anxiety can be like a muscle. You have to keep living your life and actually be involved in the things you want to do. I think when the pandemic was over, I really had to relearn those things and feel comfortable again. And I think my YouTube channel really helped with that. Things that I found a little bit scary, like going on a train or going to the art supply store, I was able to combine that with something I liked, you know, creatively. So like making a video. Because of that combination, it just felt easier for me to move outside of my comfort zone because I had that extra motivation. So it wasn't planned, but it is a nice benefit that came from it. The fifth and the last reason why I'm so glad that I started this YouTube channel is the community. I think the art community on YouTube cannot be compared to any other social media platform I've been on. I think it's lovely to post on Instagram and I do react to comments there, but I think on YouTube it's just kind of more like a personal level, and I think there is a deeper connection to be had with other artists and art lovers, and it's been so lovely to get to know you a little bit, and it's been fun to start to recognize your names whenever you post more often. So I do think that is really a benefit of a YouTube channel. I think we did carve out a little cozy art nook here on YouTube, and it's been just so lovely to read all of your comments, answer your questions, and I think this is a good way to start the next part of the video, in which I will be answering your questions. I would also love to hear your take on these questions, so if you would like to answer some of them, please do. I would love to read your answers in the comments. Is this your full-time job? So being an artist is my full-time job. I do not work 40 hours like consecutively from 9 to 5, but divided over the week I do think I get to that amount of hours. I illustrate picture books, I run an Etsy shop, I have a Patreon, and of course also this YouTube channel. Combined, those make up my job as an artist. How long have you been drawing and illustrating? I think I started drawing at the age of 3 or 4. My mother was creating pencil portraits. I always was very inspired when looking at her. She was following oil painting classes, and I remember I got to tag along with her as a little girl. I always had a passion for drawing, and in high school I also had another friend that also liked to draw a lot, and we were often drawing together. Sometimes I had a little bit of a break in between, but I always continued to pick up the pencil. And have you had a natural talent for it? I do believe that drawing is a skill that you learn through practice. So I don't think that artists are necessarily born with an innate talent. I think that I had a tendency towards the arts and music, and like it was just a big interest and passion of mine. So I think that is very important. I can't say I had a talent. I just had this internal drive to continue on my journey to become better. I have this vision of what I want things to look like or sound like, and I just will continue until I get there, and I still haven't gotten there. So I think it is an ongoing journey. Did you study arts, or was it something you wanted to pursue for a long time? It was something that I wanted to pursue for a long time. I did always have like this inner battle of like I wanted to sing and I also wanted to draw. I didn't set out to become an artist or illustrator. Things ended up much different than I was intending them to, so doing a couple of different studies until I found what I thought I wanted to do, which was becoming a speech therapist, and I learned a lot about voice disorders and about the singing voice, so there was a little bit of connection to my passion in regards to singing. The drawing part always kept coming up for me. When I was studying to become a speech therapist, I actually did my first picture book commission, which was for a self-publishing author, so that was the first time I really got to taste a little bit of what it was like to be an illustrator. Because I was always drawing a lot, I was sometimes receiving questions to do little commissions like birth announcements and greeting cards. I just rolled into it a little bit. When I was graduating as a speech therapist, in that same year, I started my small art business, and I intended to, start working as an artist for just 1 day a week, and the rest I would do my main job. I liked it so much. It was such a big passion, and I always kept learning. It grew bigger and bigger, and at one point I was able to just work as an artist full time. So I didn't go to a traditional art school, unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately. It's all about the way you look at that, of course. Because I had a personal vision of what I wanted to accomplish, I just learned a lot by myself. I am a self-taught artist. I started by watching a lot of YouTube videos, and eventually I started to do courses. I took a lot of courses at SVS Learn. They are mostly directed at picture book illustration. I also took Schoolism classes, and when I noticed that I just was like at this point that I couldn't learn anymore on my own and I just needed to have a little bit of guidance, I also did a couple of illustration mentorships, and those were really like deep diving into my portfolio. I received portfolio reviews from an art director. I actually purchased a portfolio review from an artist that had been in the art business for a long time, in the picture book world. I also took a live painting course at SVS Learn. So I didn't go to traditional art school, but I definitely learned a lot by taking that alternative route, which I think can be very personal for every self-taught artist. Were there a lot of people in your surroundings who believed in your art or not? There were people in my surroundings that were very positive and encouraging, and maybe not straight away. I think in the beginning, when I was still in college, I don't think people thought that it was something that I was going to seriously pursue. It wasn't until I was thinking about starting my business and also thinking about downscaling my hours as a speech therapist that I got to hear some opinions of people surrounding me. And I think they've mostly been encouraging. They were reserved. I don't think that everyone in my environment thought that I would be able to make an income, and that it would just be like this hobby and not my main income. Whenever I heard something like that, it wasn't disencouraging, not at all, but whenever I heard someone say something like that, I think it just gave me an extra kind of bit of motivation to prove them otherwise. And looking back on that, that shouldn't be like a driving force to start an art career or something like that. Back then, I just started to notice that, whatever I pour into my art and my art business, it started to create something. And that led me to, I think, believe in myself as well. And I think that is something that has brought me the most like benefits, that I was able to believe in myself. It sounds kind of corny. I definitely have and have had imposter syndrome and moments where I thought, where I was comparing myself to others, which is definitely something that can hold you back. I definitely had those moments of self-doubt, but I think there has been like this gut feeling and just the noticing that I was able to make something grow a little bit, and that I did have some positive reactions, which of course also help. The art community online can also be very stimulating and very positive in making you want to follow your dreams. So if you are someone that has been struggling with that, or if you have people in your surroundings that do not believe in you, or I don't know your experiences and your circumstances, I do want to say that it's definitely something that is worth pursuing. It's a good idea to put your work out there, and I started that way. I started by posting my work on social media, and it doesn't happen right away, it doesn't happen overnight, but I think that the perseverance is very important, and to show up consistently at your own pace, of course. You shouldn't give up, if that is any advice I can give you. you think of Beatrice Potter, and do you have any favorite illustrator or artists on YouTube that kind of inspire you as an artist? The movie about Beatrice Potter is one of my favorite movies to watch, and I do like that she is talking to the little animals.
Well, my friend, when I am a published author, then we shall see.
And whenever I'm drawing my characters, I often feel that I am smiling and sometimes even talking to them. I really am a fan of her work. Her drawings are very timeless. In the past, I had a friend that gifted me a lovely book of Beatrice Potter. I really love her style and the mood she sets with her illustrations. Favorite artists and illustrators on YouTube that inspire me. I watch art videos on YouTube quite a lot. Very Little Peach is one of the channels that I really like. She has a great art style and illustrated beautiful picture books. I'm maybe butchering this name, but Caro Arevalo, her art channel, I really love it. She has this way of, creating this very natural and slow setting and mood for her videos, and she's very in tune with nature, and that really inspires me a lot. I also absolutely love watching Fran Menezes, her channel, and I think she was one of the first artists' YouTube channels that I started watching. I absolutely love her video style, her personality and her artwork, and she has been working on this very nice graphic novel. I love seeing that process. I always love seeing like this art process in videos, or life changes, or someone moving into a new art studio and documenting that. So like this little story through the episodes, I really like that. Did you set out intending to draw anthropomorphic characters, or when you first started drawing, were you aiming for realism? I don't think realism has ever been my intention, but definitely when I was trying to learn how to draw and paint, there were a lot of realistic studies. The characters, I think, mainly came about because I used to have pets, so now I have bunnies, but I also used to have a guinea pig, hamsters and rats, and I think they just were a very big inspiration to draw. I think it just evolved into anthropomorphic characters. I've also always been inspired by art revolving around animals, picture books and movies and series. So I think it was only natural that I would go into that direction. If you could be one of the animals you draw, which one would you be? I think that is a very good question, and I have been thinking about this since I picked the questions. Not all of the animals I draw have a name yet, but I certainly, when I'm drawing, I'm always thinking about their life and their traits and what would they be doing and thinking about, and I really love to give my characters some kind of personality. Stefan, for example, is a guinea pig character I drew, and he loves to read books and to be in nature. I think I can really identify as Stefan. He likes being out in nature and he is very mindful. Those are all things that fit my personality and preferences. So I think it is easy for me to identify with a lot of my characters because I tend to draw the things that interest me, and of course it's different for picture books because then I sometimes have to draw characters that are like a little bit outside of my comfort zone, or that are wildly different from anything that I would normally draw. But when I draw just for fun, often the animals I draw do have some resemblance of my own personality or hobbies. How do you find inspiration? So I have been mentioning nature a lot in this video, I think. Just looking out my window, seeing the trees and like smelling the breeze from the outside, and going on nature walks and spending time in nature. I just love to surround myself in nature and to go on walks with my family. On most days I make sure to take a walk and go outside. I often see these small things that end up really inspiring me and my work. Also, of course, I'm also inspired by animals and by little things my son does, and watching beautiful movies, listening to really nice music. I recently made a video about inspiration, and I tell you about some of the things that do inspire my work. So I will make a little link thingy so you can watch that video if you feel like diving deeper into that subject. Did having a child change your relationship to your art, and how? Also a very good question. So Luke was born in 2014. He is turning 10 this year. And it definitely changed the way I look at art and my illustrations. So I started reading to him at a very young age. I got all of these picture books for him. It was also a bit for me because I now have this whole picture book collection, and I got to revisit my own childhood and certain books that I loved to read. It's always such a nice cozy time in the evening to read together. I was really inspired by all of the art in the picture books, and it also really gave me a nudge to proceed picture book illustration myself. I think since Luke was born, my art and my small business also really came a long way. Having a small art business also meant that I was and am very flexible with my time, and I thought that was very important because I want to be there and spend the most time that I can with Luke, and you know, doing things with him and activities and his own creativity are all things that inspire me. I didn't even mention like becoming a mother and motherhood. I started creating all of these illustrations revolving around motherhood. And so he has inspired me in multiple ways and continues to do so. What challenges have you faced while managing everything regarding your art store, and how did you overcome those challenges? I started adding items to Etsy in the year or 1 year after Luke was born. I made these little paintings and I added them to my Etsy store, which was the time in which my Etsy store started to get actual visits, and I made my first ever sales on my Etsy store. I still do have my Etsy store years later. So at this point in time, I do have, I think, over 100 items on Etsy, including art prints, stickers, my picture book and all that. It definitely came with some learning curves and trial and errors. In the beginning, it all was so very slow, and I hadn't yet found ways to optimize and make everything go smoothly and efficient. Those are things I think you can only learn with trial and error to see what's the best way to pack and ship items. And in the beginning I only sold those paintings, and it took a while before a little light bulb in my head went off, like I could be scanning and digitizing my paintings. I can make actual art prints and that way sell a painting more than once. It took a while to come to that conclusion, and I think when I started to add more prints instead of paintings to my shop, that was when my shop started to take off. It's of course more efficient and less expensive for the customer as well to purchase art prints because they can be shipped fairly easy and wrapped fairly easy, whereas with frames you have to deal with glass and you have to deal with packages and larger shipping costs and stuff like that. So right now I'm also running into a little challenge. The majority of the orders that come in through Etsy actually come from my own social media and from promotion that I do. and less and less orders come in through Etsy, which always was a big selling point of Etsy, that a lot of orders and customers can find you on their platform, but this has become less and less, to the point that I'm actually paying a lot of fees to Etsy. There isn't a lot of traffic from Etsy themselves, so it feels like I'm putting in all of the effort in that regard, but they are still getting all of those fees. So I have been contemplating to move over to my own standalone web shop. But because I am so busy and I have all of these facets in my art business, I do need to factor in time to create that web shop and to move all of the items there. And I think I'm going to keep that Etsy shop up for any customers that do get there through Etsy. But one of my big goals for the upcoming years is to start a standalone web shop in which I have more freedom for the layout. And because I'm actually driving traffic myself, it makes more sense business-wise to have my own standalone web shop. That being said, I do think Etsy definitely is a good place to start. There is a little bit of traffic that comes through the algorithm of Etsy itself. It's a nice way to get familiar with all of the ins and outs of running a web shop. We are nearing the end of this video, but I do have a little lightning round of questions. I combined some of these questions and I thought these are questions that I can answer snappy, I think. What's your favorite city in the Netherlands? That will be Utrecht. I have 2 videos on my art channel already in which I visited Utrecht, and especially their art store Swaak. I love to know if you photograph or scan your collage pieces. I scan my collage pieces. I use my scanner, and I do try to keep in mind that I can't work too large because I have an A4 scanner, which can sometimes be a little bit of a pain. But yes, I do scan my collage pieces. I scan all of my art, so I don't think I ever photograph my art. What is your preferred art medium? It has to be mixed media. I do like to use my watercolors and gouache, and then when that layer is finished, I like to add pastels and color pencils on top. Favorite songs for painting, favorite movies, favorite sources of inspiration. I definitely like listening to a little bit of like indie, acoustic guitar kind of songs, mostly female singers. Phoebe Bridgers comes to mind. Liana Flores is an artist I have been listening to a lot recently. I also really love the new album of Billie Eilish. Totally different music style, but I do really like it. Lily Martin is also a great singer-songwriter I listen to. Sometimes I just put on a little bit of background jazzy music to get into the vibe of painting. We talked about the Beatrice Potter movie already. Other favorite movies are older, old-fashioned films like Breakfast at Tiffany's, which does really inspire me. Definitely the whole Harry Potter movie sequence. I really love the 2 Paddington movies. They also inspire me a lot. I think there's so much character in the little bear, and I really love the other actors as well. I really like the movie Big Fish. Of course, I do love a lot of animation movies as well. I love Inside Out. Ratatouille is one of my favorite movies. I also have a book with the artwork. This isn't a movie, but I absolutely adore the Over the Garden Wall animation series. I don't have words. The music, the animation, the characters, the whole vibe of the series. If you haven't watched Over the Garden Wall, I really think you should. And if you're going to watch it, do plan it for autumn, because it makes a great autumn watch. Why rats? So I think I briefly mentioned that I have had pet rats. I had a lot of them at one point before I became a mother. And yeah, they have such great personalities. They are so smart and intelligent, and I think a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of my first clients purchasing my artwork also did have rat pets, so I made a lot of commissions for their pet rats, and I just love them to this day. I don't have any rats anymore because they have pretty short lifespans. They tend to have a lot of health issues, so every time that happened, it was just devastating and heartbreaking to say goodbye to your pet. But they did make a way into my work. They are a big inspiration. Of course, the movie Ratatouille also helped inspire me on that front. But mostly it's because of my pet rats that I had. Do you have tips for people who also want to become a freelance illustrator? Drawing a lot does really help. But don't draw like every day as much as you can without a purpose. I think the purpose and the goal parts are equally as important as the drawing a lot. You see this often when people are starting out to draw, that they draw like 100 heads, 100 hands, 100 environments, which are all great things to do. Definitely helps you develop your skills. But also ask yourself the question, like, what do you want to draw? What do you want to learn? If you would like to become a landscape painter, or you would like to make pet portraits, it may not be as effective to right now create like 100 heads or do a lot of figure studies. And I do think it all counts towards fundamentals. So yes, you could be drawing all of those things, but also look at what you want to draw to keep kind of that spark alive as a way to be moving towards a certain goal. So ask yourself, what do I want to draw, and what are the steps to take to get there? What I found is that I work best if I am like focused on what I want to learn, and then I can add new things along the way. Another tip is something we talked about before. What time in the week can you free up to create art? What time can you designate to create art? Can you maybe, like for me, when I want to learn how to animate, so I went to look at my schedule, and a lot of time could be gained in the moments that I would normally be like scrolling social media on my phone. So when I started to be a little bit more conscious with my smartphone use, I actually freed up time to learn more animation. Look at your schedule and see where you can have those spaces to free up time to work on your art and creativity, and then maybe not like become a freelance illustrator in one go and quit everything, quit your job, become an illustrator full time, but maybe the way I did it is to ease into it. First free up a day, and then a second day, and then until you can sustain your career as an illustrator and make an income. You can also have your day job and create art on the side. And also know that it is definitely possible to create your income as an artist. So it's all about what you want and what you expect out of it. I also think a tip is to try build a social media presence of some sort, fitting your needs and preferences, of course. As these days there are also other ways to build your art practice and make an income. But it definitely helped me and still helps me to be present on social media and share my work with my audience directly. The most important thing that I learned being an artist and having a small art business is that everything can be divided up in small chunks. As someone who sometimes freezes up when I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of tasks, I started to divide everything up in small manageable chunks, so every project can be divided in little manageable to-dos. That has really helped me to make small progress over longer times, which finishes projects, and not to try and create everything in one given week or month and maybe burn myself out with that. So I think that may be the most important tip I can give you. See how you can make things easy and what are the small manageable chunks of what you want to achieve. Do you think a beginner illustrator needs their own website as their online portfolio when starting out? It depends on what you want to do as an artist. Which branch are you wanting to be active in? If you want to do client work, like become a picture book illustrator or do commissions, I think that a portfolio is very much essential, because it is the way clients visit your work and get to see like your business card, so to speak, and see everything that you make, and they also can see what they can expect. Create art and add to the portfolio along the way, and also don't be afraid to keep pieces out of your portfolio. Just add the pieces of work that you think you can be happy to create and that fit your style the most. If you do want to be an artist and have a web shop, if you want to sell your art prints and paintings and such, I think it's always a good benefit to have a portfolio because it helps you to be found online and people can see your work. But I don't think you would necessarily need it if you are going the Etsy shop route, for instance, or the YouTube route. Yeah, so it really depends on what kind of work you would like to do. And if you would like to specify your question, I would be happy to give a little bit more elaboration if I know your personal situation a little bit better. How do you find clients? Do you have an agent? In the beginning of my art business, I mostly did private commissions, so people would find my art online and ask me to do pet portraits, and I think they mostly found me because of my website and portfolio, also on social media. And for picture books, I do have an agent, so clients can find me also through my picture book agent. But sometimes publishers still also find me through my own website and social media. So that's definitely something that I think you should keep online if you are going to be a picture book illustrator. But an agent does help find clients and takes a lot of work from your hands. Like the contracts and finding work, and yeah, so I do have an agent. Her name is Claire Easton and she's with Painted Words in New York. My agent reached out to me, I think in 2020. Do you have suggestions for illustrators who would like to start an art shop? Like I mentioned, if you are a new artist and you haven't necessarily created an online audience for your work, I think a platform like Etsy can be very beneficial. And again, I think start small, you know, start by adding a couple of prints and add to that. And the way I do it nowadays is I also have my Patreon, so I release a new print and a new sticker each month on my Patreon, and my patrons get these rewards first. So I also sign the art prints for them, so they are a little bit more special than the ones in my Etsy shop. These new prints and stickers are released in a month after I send them to my patrons. And in that way I keep adding to my Etsy shop in tiny bits. This year I did have a bigger shop update in which I added a lot of items. But for me personally, I like, you know, adding things gradually the most. And I always try to take my own art rhythm into account. Like when I have a lot of inspiration, I can add some more prints, I can post some more on social media, make more YouTube videos. But when I am like kind of like in a slump or in a slower period, I don't add as much. I think definitely try and keep up with your own pace. We have come to the end of this video. I would really like to thank you for all of the questions you sent in. I really hope you enjoyed this little celebration of my art channel. I really appreciate it that you are on this YouTube journey with me. And like I mentioned, I think it's very nice that we can connect here on YouTube. Well, I really hope to continue making cozy videos revolving around my art practice. And as always, you can give any suggestions for future videos. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!